You're obviously in good shape. Tell me what you're doing to maintain health.
I don't know. I just try to eat right and exercise as much as I can. But I'm not like a gym rat or anything like that. But just started talking with one of my fraternity brothers, a good friend of mine. He kind of had the same aspiration to become an Adirondack 46er, and that's kind of an elite group of people that climb all 46 of the high peaks in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. So,
by the way, just hit me. Whenever you're done, I'm going to call you Timmy 46.
Hands up, heads down, shake it on, turn around. We're kicking down, we're gaining ground. We do it right, do the here right now.
Tim Randall, EZaccessMD. Welcome to Super TRUEper.
Glad to be here.
We'll do a little cheers.
Cheers.
Ching. The last show that we just recorded, who did we just record? Michael Goldman. We didn't have anything to drink in front of us. And I realized every other show that we've done, we've had either a coffee or with Adrian Jensen, we had beers.
I was listening to that yesterday.
It's early in the morning for us. Although people wouldn't know that. I guess technically we could do it.
Nobody knows what time it is.
So we had dinner last night with Val, aka Hot Dog. And I've been thinking all night, your name is Timothy John Randall. So the first thing I thought of is you have 3 first names as last names.
It's true.
And then you said your oldest sister sometimes calls you TJ. She's the only one that does that.
Yeah, she's the only one.
You've got folks that call you Timo because you played soccer when you were younger, and Italian community, and that's Timo kind of is a nickname.
Yeah, I didn't really have a very Italian name, so that was kind of how they branded me, and it just kind of stuck.
Right. I've really been thinking, because I like to give people unique nicknames, but it just has to come out.
Okay.
For some reason, I was like, I could call you TMJ, but that doesn't have anything to do with anything, and it's like negative. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Let's pick a different one.
Yeah. And then Timmy. Does anybody call you Timmy?
I don't know.
I mean, I know you wouldn't love Timmy.
We're just getting to know each other, so
yes.
It'll come to you in the proper time. So no reason to force it. It will. One of these days you'll have like this eureka moment, and it'll be something really awesome.
Because I'm working on Timmy, TJ, Timmy J, DJR. It'll come to me, and then it's going to stick forever, like Hot Dog or Britopotamus.
Britopotamus.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that one. That's good.
So Rochester, New York.
Yep. That's
where you are right now.
Yep.
And you grew up in Rochester, right?
I did. Yeah, I grew up in the greater Rochester area. Spent a good part of my life there, and then my first job out of college wound up down on Long Island, so still in New York, but many miles away from home, and kind of moved down there by myself and just started making a go at life, so.
Rochester. I told you before, I was in Rochester at some point in my life, and I can't remember why. It's one of the great mysteries of my life. I'm going to go back in my camera roll to see if I can find, because I took a picture of a band.
Okay.
And I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, but I'd love to know where you were.
I'm going to get back to you on that one.
Yeah. Do you know if you had a garbage plate while you were there?
I would remember that. I do not remember anything called a garbage plate.
So like probably every town has or every state has some food that people know them by, and ours is the garbage plate. So
garbage
plate. You'll have to Google it. It's kind of a late night
Well, I have to know what's in a garbage plate.
So it's basically it's a plate of food. You have on the base of it you have macaroni salad, right? Like a mayonnaise based macaroni salad, and then home fries, and then if you want a cheeseburger or hot dog or a sausage on there, they just throw it all on top. They throw all the toppings on top, and they give you a hunk of bread.
That's not a real thing. Somebody just made this up.
Well, it was like the chicken wing was kind of an improvisational late night invention in Buffalo.
Chicken wing's the thing. Like a garbage plate is we start with, nobody will ever say, you know what, let's start with some macaroni salad. That's not ever a base of anything. Plus, I hate mayonnaise.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I'll be like, hey, can I get a garbage plate, no mayo? I don't think you're supposed to take anything off a garbage plate. That's what it's for.
Well, they're maybe not as militant about it as if you order a cheesesteak a certain way where you're not supposed to order it that way. So it's really kind of your creation, but it's all kind of in one place, and you eat it with a fork and a knife. And
so can I tell you, I'm against the food shaming of places like that. So you go to Philly, and you order a cheesesteak, and that wit whiz, all these things you're supposed to say. And sometimes they actually get mad at you if you don't know how you're ordering.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm the customer. If I take a little bit to order, like I don't know the difference between what is whizzed and what is not.
Yeah.
Grilled onions, maybe I want those. I need some time to make my decision.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this pressure to be local and know. Anyway, I'm against this food shaming. But I am intrigued. I want to know if I can get a garbage plate without mayonnaise involved in the whole process.
I'm sure you could. There's probably maybe just double up on the home fries or get tater tots or something.
Oh, never in my life. So if you see me, I'm looking over here because I like to look at Britt because we have a similar sense of humor and we laugh together a lot. So I'm looking over at Britt because I don't think I've ever said could I substitute tater tots for the mayonnaise, please? Like, I don't know if that's ever been said in the history of the universe. I love that. By the way,
we just wouldn't want the mac salad, so it's because that's the only thing that really has mayonnaise in it.
Yeah.
Some people do baked beans, and there's
God, some people.
There's different choices. None of them sound good to.
Oh,
hey, there it is.
So if you're watching, you can see Britt has Googled. So what's a trash plate upstate New York?
Well,
so if it's why don't they just do regular macaroni and cheese? That's what I'm going to say.
Some places will do that. The reason why you see different names is that the name garbage plate was actually trademarked by the place that invented it, Nick Tahoe's. But every place you go, they have a variation of it, but they can't call it the garbage plate. They have to call it something else.
That's why the trash
so it
plate.
sort of ties into refuse.
Oh, hold on. You know what I get to use for the first time ever?
What's that?
My red hot idea button. I haven't used this yet in a Super Trooper. I want to normalize using macaroni and cheese as the foundation for every garbage or trash plate.
Wow.
Instead of garbage macaroni and macaroni salad. It even sounds bad, macaroni salad. Let's step back a second.
I'm getting hungry right now talking about this.
I am not getting hungry right now. Tim, let's step back a second.
Sure.
So we've scared off all but our best friends right now. EZaccessMD is where you work.
Yes.
That's how we came to know you. That's how you came to be here.
Exactly.
And you know what? I love to do things that are schizophrenic. We're going like garbage plate straight into talk about mobile urgent care. You know what? This is why you've done so well in Rochester, because all these people eating these garbage plates need urgent care. They need medical attention.
That could be, eat too many of them over a long period of time, you're going to have bigger problems than that probably. But
eat 3 in a week, you might have a problem. So I first met Lois, founder. Lois and her husband, Will.
Yep.
I didn't meet Will first though. You
may have met him at Oasis.
No, before.
Okay.
So I met Lois at a Saya event in 2022.
Okay.
I think that was in Orlando. And then I ran into her again in Saya. That might have been 2021. And then I saw her again in 2022. No, it was probably 2022. And then this past year, I ran into her again at Saya. And she was shocked that I remembered so much detail about our previous conversation.
Right.
But then actually, Will was there. I actually met him, I think, like outside in the hotel lobby. But I just I had such good conversations with her that, sometimes you just meet people and the next time you see them, you smile.
Yeah.
I knew it was something about mobile something, but I just remember her spirit, like her personality. And it's so cool. And then I've got to confess something to you. So you were coming in. Tim Randall was on my agenda for Super Trooper. I've done a Super Trooper this week already.
Okay.
Just coming back from a week in Croatia. Germany, Croatia, long week. And I don't know you very well. Mm-hmm. Well, I really don't know you at all. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a hard one. I kind of wasn't looking forward to it. And then from the first sentence last night of, walking down to our city harbor, seeing you, the way you greeted me, the great conversation we had for drinks and dinner, Val and I got home and it's like, that's a good dude. I was like, I turned it around. I turned my frown upside down. And I woke up this morning like really excited to do this. So there must be something about Lois and Will and their personality that attract people like you. So maybe I should ask a question instead of rambling. Is that true? Is there something about them that really attracts cool people to come work for EZaccessMD?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, definitely. They're two of the smartest people that I've ever met. And two of the hardest working people I've ever met, and they're really passionate about what we do. Kind of started out of a whole different idea, and they kind of, developed into what became EZaccessMD, and they just kind of work circles around anybody within the company or really anybody that I've ever met, so, that's kind of contagious, and you kind of feel like you got to try to keep up with them as best you can, which is not easy to do, but all the people that we work with, it's a great crew of people. We're not all the same. We all have kind of different interests and different life stories, like very very diverse backgrounds and things like that. But it just kind of comes together in a real nice way, and they're leading the charge.
It was interesting last night over dinner. Val was like, "Now, what do you do, and who do you do, and what is it?" And we had that, and then Lois's name came up, and she was like, "Wait, is this Lois I know?" And I was like, "Oh, you know Lois?" She was like, "Well, she was writing out prescriptions at our Hotty Yachty Christmas party," and she was wonderful. And that was a kind of a cool moment for her to like, "Oh, wait, I know who you are."
Yeah, but it's like a perfect example, where Lois she just jumps right in. She kind of got the vibe of the event. She wanted to, be a part of it, not be a spectator, and just jump right in there. And I guess I'd say the same about me. That's why I wanted to come and do this. I knew you didn't know me. But I'd say this is a great chance for you to get to know me. I think that's important, and for the rest of the network to get to know me as well. So,
well, they're going to get to know you after this hour together. So sometimes I feel the need to clarify. I've listened to a couple of the episodes we've done, and I'm like, I've got to do better explaining things. So we had a Hotty Yachty Christmas party after our True Learning Academy in Chicago. So what we like to do is have a themed party, kind of like a wrap party, like a wrap up the event party.
Yeah.
And we have a band, and we dress up. And so I came up with this concept of Hotty Yachty Christmas Party, where it's in April, but it's Christmas themed. Santa's there. There's Christmas music playing with people coming in. We decorate it like Christmas. But then the band Yacht Rock Review played. And so people could dress up yachty, like nautical, or Christmas, or both.
Yep.
And when we say that Lois was handing out prescriptions, she said, like, I'm the ship doctor, and I can write prescriptions. And I was like, well, there was no doubt she's going to fit right into this culture. That was a fantastic idea. I loved it. And
I kind of tied in what we do, EZaccessMD.
That's right.
Being the ship's doctor and, just bringing it all together.
Brid. I'm laughing at Brid because we do these silly skits, and the play off of Easy Access, we could never do a skit because we couldn't make it appropriate. Because it's so many things. I was just looking at your shirt, and thinking about Easy Access, and I'm like, cut! Can't say that. We're going to cover a lot of things. So if you're listening or watching, we're going to cover EZaccessMD. We're going to cover your sort of background and history and who you are. We're going to jump all over the place.
Okay.
Because I don't really know any other way to do this. And I was worried about it recently, and Val actually started laughing. She's like, this is the most insane conversation I've ever heard. I think it was with Adrian, because we would talk about work and then we would jump into R&B music or something like that.
Yep.
Let me see, where should we start? Let's start with you. Always the person's more important. So you said you grew up in the Rochester area.
Yep.
Last night you said something like, I was a handful, or my parents would say I was a handful. And you also had sisters. How many sisters did you have?
3 sisters.
3 sisters.
So I'm the third. I'm the third in line. So.
Third in line. Yeah. So 2 older sisters, 1 baby sister.
Yep.
What did you mean when you said I was a handful? What does that mean?
I was just one of those kids. I guess kind of hyperactive and just a ball of energy all the time. Kind of similar to when we ran into Britt and his family yesterday. Like the twins were just running around. Like that was me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are surprised to hear that because I don't know, I guess maybe I burned out all my energy back then when I was, 7, 8 years old. But yeah, so, just kind of a rambunctious kid, like to kind of be like the class clown and stuff like that. And, which was good in a lot of ways. And obviously, sometimes not so good. But, as time went on, I guess I learned how to kind of harness that energy a little bit differently and, just apply it in a more constructive way. And I think it's just part of growing up too. But I was hyperactive enough where my mother refused to let the commissioner of baseball, who lived next door to me, to let me play baseball because there wasn't enough energy being expended playing baseball. She's like, what's the sport where you burn off the most energy? So this kid will go to bed when it's time to go to bed. So that's how I started playing soccer.
Right. and thus the birth of Timo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I kind of became a teenager, and,
Right.
Just my teammates were all, second generation Italian Americans, and they all
Names
had
and
names
vowels.
like Antonio and
Yeah.
Giovanni, and so I needed to fit in because Tim Randall didn't sound Italian, even though I look Italian because I look
Right.
like my mother, who's 100% Italian. So
What part of Italy was she from?
so her mother was from Naples.
Yep.
And my grandfather was from Sicily.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
like deep stuff. Like that's the birthplace of the La Cosa Nostra, right?
Yeah. So he's kind of an interesting history to him because he was, as the story goes, is he was just kind of left on a church front step. He was an orphan, not an orphan, but he's kind of given up, and so we don't really know kind of that whole lineage of who his parents are and stuff like that. But we know the family that he grew up in, and my uncles, and actually my parents have gone back there and actually spent time with the family that he grew up in before he wound up in America. So
That's
it's
cool.
a pretty interesting story. So I could be from anywhere. Maybe I'm not really even Italian. Who knows?
Yeah. Have you done the 23andMe thing?
No.
You should do it.
Yeah.
We did a whole series of my 23andMe experiences. We don't have any time for that craziness, but you may find out you have other brothers and sisters you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rochester, hyper kid, soccer, 3 sisters. Where did you end up going to school?
So I started out at one of the state universities in New York, in Potsdam, New York, which is probably one of the most northern points in New York, where it's about 11 miles from the Canadian border.
Oh.
And
Snow and cold.
snow and cold, but it was a great experience. I later transferred to a school in the same town called Clarkson University, and that's where I graduated. It's really known as a really good engineering school, but I followed a business major. I kind of wanted to do something different than what was available to me at the state university, but I didn't really want to leave the area. I was in a fraternity, and just my core group of friends and things like that were all there. So I got to kind of eat my cake, or have my cake and eat it too, by being able to stay in town and kind of pursue what I wanted to do. And
What fraternity were you in?
I was in Phi Kappa Sigma.
Okay, I just say that because at some point somebody will listen to this, and now you'll have a bond with somebody that we didn't know.
Who knows? We may have a brother out there somewhere, but
No doubt.
It was a great experience. And when I was in school, it was kind of at least in Potsdam, and maybe just in general, like Greek life was really strong.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the heyday, and it's now everything's pretty much gone. The schools have kind of shut a lot of the stuff down. A lot of the fraternity houses aren't even there anymore. So,
Well, let me take you to the University of Alabama.
Okay.
Where it is not shut down.
Okay.
It looks like it's quite ridiculous.
Wow.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Val's daughter, Tess. I'll say our daughter because, I love Tess as just like a child, one of my children. And my son Carson are down there.
Uh-huh.
Tess is in the sorority. Carson was like, 0 chance I'm going through with that nonsense because there's still nonsense. It's completely ridiculous. But you play guitar. When did you start playing guitar?
Trying to remember. I was dabbling since I was like really young,
Right.
know? And so it's been a long time, but my skill level doesn't really reflect how long I've been actually playing the instrument. But it's all self-taught. I didn't really ever take lessons. Just kind of learned by watching people and just trying to figure things out. And that's kind of the fun part about it for me is, just trying to figure this out without really having like that foundation. And with that, I think that's why I like music that's sort of improvisational.
Yeah.
And not really like scripted, because I think there's I think I would maybe lose that if I learned how to read music. It would be too scientific or too regimented compared to how I've experienced music and how I like to play guitar.
Do you have like go-to songs? Like, I told you my brother's a musician. I've been around musicians a lot. And I've been around a lot of amateur musicians, people who would they would say, I'm really not playing, but I can play. Like a lot of people have like a go-to song or two. Like they can pick it up and play, and it looks like you're a better player than you are because you got that song down.
Got it down.
Do you have any songs where you're like, these are my jams. If I'm going to play for you, I'm going to play these few songs?
Yeah, it's so like all over the board. Maybe like groups you haven't heard from. Like I guess some songs that I learned how to play well. Like there's a group called the Jayhawks. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're kind of like I guess from the Midwest somewhere. But it's sort of like country Americana type of stuff. It's not like virtuoso.
Yeah.
shred your face off with a guitar solo type of thing. So I could play like some of their songs pretty well. And I like it. I just like the way they sound. They're like great songs. And so those are ones that I can kind of, play kind of start to finish, and it sounds, pretty close to how it's supposed to sound.
Right.
But I like to think I fake my way through a lot of them, or play parts of them pretty well, but maybe not the whole thing. So
I still have a guitar sitting in my room. I've said I was going to learn to play guitar forever. And one of those, it's kind of like saying you want to learn to play the guitar or you want to learn a foreign language. That's the top two people. Those are the top two things I hear. I want to learn to play a musical instrument, and I want to learn a foreign language.
Okay.
And yet we just don't do it. If I would have just practiced, I would be such a good guitar player right now. Yeah. I can probably play 6 or 7 chords, maybe. And it's interesting because every time I pick it up, I kind of go right back to where I left off, which is very bad. But I can fumble my way through some Jimmy Buffett songs. Or, when I say fumble, I really mean fumble. I need to determine which one of those.
I think you know more chords than me. Just start playing them over and over again, and you'll just get better and better. You know?
I should. 30 minutes a day. Well, I can tell. I'm a great teacher. I'm a great teller of people what to do. I can really tell people it's 30 minutes a day. And then I don't do it either. I haven't prioritized it. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So I've taken over the years. I played saxophone in 7th grade. I took piano lessons for 2 weeks. I took banjo lessons for like 6 months.
Really?
This really old banjo player in Birmingham, and I can remember, really country guy, and I remember saying, like, how long is it going to take me to get to this level? I said, I want to get to here. How long is it going to take me? And he put a dip in and kind of looked over at me. He said, depends on how eat up you get with it. I'm like, that's a good description. Like, that's a very Southern thing. Like, you got to get eat up with it. You got to get obsessed,
passionate about it, and obsessed. Yeah, exactly.
I'm obsessed with our events, like creating events and experiences. Okay. If I would put that passion in guitar, I'd be like,
yeah. But you know what though? I mean, not everybody can do what you do as far as putting together events. So it's a pretty cool passion to have.
Yeah, we all want what we don't have, right? Grass is always greener.
Yep.
All that kind of good stuff. All right, so you're in pretty good shape. It's obvious. Listen, first of all, thank you very much for being older than me.
Your first guest that's older than you, I guess, right?
Well, I'm just never around people that are older than me anymore. I'm 53. It's not like I'm ancient. You're barely older than me. I'm not going to out you, but you're barely older than me. But when I asked you last night and you said it, I was like, yes, somebody's older than me.
And I just want to say that I almost started to cry because I don't really hear that very often, that I'm older than I like to think that I'm still, a teenager or whatever. So just ask my wife and she'll tell you.
But you're obviously in good shape. Tell me what you're doing to maintain health.
I don't know. I just try to eat right and exercise as much as I can. But I'm not like a gym rat or anything like that. But one of the things that I do like to do, something I've always liked to do is be in the outdoors. Hiking in nature and taking on some challenges. And when the pandemic came around, started taking up hiking just around my neighborhood. I'm fortunate where I can just kind of walk down the street and I'll be at a really nice trailhead and be out, like you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, even though you can hear cars whizzing around and stuff like that. But that's, they kind of got my passion back for that. And it was a good way to, get out of the house during the lockdown and stuff like that and just kind of blow off some steam. And you're not around, you're definitely socially distancing because there's nobody else around. And then, from there, just started talking with one of my fraternity brothers, a good friend of mine, who lives around the corner. He kind of had the same aspiration to become an Adirondack 46er. And that's kind of an elite group of people that climb all 46 of the high peaks in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. So I've kind of made this sort of a lifestyle, getting out and hiking, in my neighborhood as much as I can, just to kind of stay fit to be able to go and take on those challenges out there. So, and we're 3 years in and we've got really just like one more year of hiking, about 12 mountains, and we'll accomplish that. So
I got it.
So that's kind of what I do to,
by the way, just hit me. Whenever you're done, I'm going to call you Timmy 46. Because that's long enough to where people are going to be like, what are you saying?
It's I took my couple of my neighbors, good friends, out like hey, take us hiking with you. We want to see these trails near our house because they'd never been. And I was going a little too fast for them because I had been doing this for a while, and they were not as familiar with the trails and not maybe in the same shape to be doing what we were doing. So they started calling me Traily McStuffins. So that was the nickname that they gave me. So
I like that a lot too. Traily McStuffins. Now I'm rethinking my Timmy 46. Well, that's cool. I mean, Val likes to hike, and so we do a lot of hiking or aggressive walking even. We just go for long walks and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It makes a difference if you kind of make that a lifestyle. Take care of a lot of issues. So,
and you have 3 boys.
I do.
Ages like 22. No, how old's the oldest one? 22?
My oldest is 22,
and then maybe like 20, and then 16
and 16. Yep.
Wow. I've always been intrigued by like 3 girls, 3 boys.
Yeah.
We talked about this last night about how just being a parent is the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
And your boys are all into different stuff. They're different people.
Yeah. I think, a lot of parents probably observe that in their kids. If they have, several kids, I'm sure, Britt, I bet you a lot of your kids are.
Britt doesn't observe anything right now.
are a lot different. Right. And, so they all kind of have like different personalities, different interests. There's a little bit of overlap, but, I'd say my kids are a lot different from one another.
Yeah. Because you got one that's a musician.
Yep.
And he was, this is fascinating. He was an Eagle Scout. Well, he is an Eagle Scout forever now, but an Eagle Scout and a musician. That's just interesting. Yeah.
Those were kind of the 2 things that he really dove into big time when he was a teenager through high school. But he was in a lot of other things before that. We tried to expose all our kids to things that they were interested in. So he played a lot of different sports and, just kind of hit that age where he had to kind of narrow it down just so he could be able to, stay focused on like his goal. He wanted to become an Eagle Scout, and, I credit him for sticking it through and doing that. But, with that, came, dropping some things like playing ice hockey and just some of the other sports that he'd like to do. And I just said, someday you can go back and do those as an adult. But, if you want to be an Eagle Scout, you've got till you're 18 to do that. So, just focus on that and the music, and then you can go back to these things at a later date.
And what's your, we talked about your youngest a little bit. I didn't ask you about your middle. Is he in college right now? What's he doing?
He is. Yeah. He's a junior.
Okay.
He's at Niagara University. It's
cold too.
So it's only about like an hour and a half from where we live in Rochester, just kind of like due west from us. So, we're right nearby one of the wonders of the world with Niagara Falls. But yeah, so he's doing well there. He plays club hockey there, and and it's actually, their team is actually quite good. They've gone to nationals the past couple of years.
Oh, that's cool.
And had a chance to go, see them play down in Philly. It's been in Philly the past couple of years. And what's kind of neat about it is that you think once your kids leave high school that, all those families that you spent time with in the hockey rink over the years, like playing on teams or playing against teams and stuff, that, once they get out of high school, you're never going to see some of these people again.
Yeah.
But then lo and behold, you're down in Philly and you run into, old teammates and their families. And, it was kind of just a neat thing I just thought was always really special in my life, to those relationships that you have with the families that your kids play team sports with. And, you think that maybe that's gone forever, but it was kind of neat to be able to have that not be the case.
And your youngest, I thought, is a really cool story. I mean, obviously he's so young at 16 that the story is not written yet, but came to you in what I think is a remarkable early sign of self-awareness. Mm-hmm. It was like, I think I want to get into a trade, be an electrician. Yeah. And is already starting to learn that. And I was like, he's going to be so much richer than everybody else because he's starting like a real career that's really valuable early on. But tell me how you felt when he told you that.
I didn't really have a lot of anxiety about it. Mm-hmm. And it's probably because, he basically just came to my wife and I and said, I don't think I really want to go to college. I don't really care for school. It's like, it's hard for me, and it doesn't interest me. I don't see how this kind of helps me with the future. And obviously, we have all the different things that we tell them why, the things that you're learning are really foundational to anything you're going to do in life, but he kind of recognized that about himself and said, I think I want to, pursue a trade instead, and that's what he decided to do. So, he picked, a trade that he thought he'd be good at and that would pay him the most money. So he was thinking about all those things. And, what we were fortunate, a friend of a friend hired him this summer. He's an electrical contractor, kind of a small non-union place. And so as a 16-year-old, he was putting in a 40-hour week, just doing all kinds of stuff, in these new apartments that they were building nearby us. So he kind of dove right in, and he liked it. And then he's starting through his high school, through a trade education track, so he's learning how to be an electrician in his last 2 years of school. And a small world. So one of our sales reps in our office, her daughter is in the kind of the same side of the county, and she's also in this electrical program.
Oh, cool.
They go to different high schools. They don't
Right.
know each other from Adam. They've never met. But now here they are, going to school together, pursuing a trade in electrical.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously light up when you talk about your boys. I hope one of them listens to this and they like have a moment, like a lightning bolt hits them and go like, wow, Dad really does love us.
Yeah, he does. And he's really proud of all three of them. That's the truth.
And your wife is from Long Island.
Yes.
And I was like, and last night I said, does she have the Long Island accent? And you're like, oh yeah, especially if she has a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Tell me about, what's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Alana.
Alana. And I know I met her in passing at Oasis.
Just real quick at Oasis. Yeah. So,
and she's a speech pathologist, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Tell me about, if you wanted people to know one thing about Alana, what would it be?
Let's see. She's awesome.
I hope you think so.
Yeah. She's just a really, passionate person about about like life, her family, about, her marriage, about, the kids that she's trying to help, kind of get in a better place with speech. And, she works with kids that have more than just issues going on with speech, but they have a lot of other things going on. And so she works really closely with, different people that are addressing different needs of the kids. So it's, but she's really dedicated. I told you last night, like all these kids and that she's teaching now and she has in the past and will in the future are really lucky to have someone like her that's so, passionate about what she does and dedicated. And, she, I don't know, she wins everybody over. Like she'd be great in sales. And even Will said that this year at Oasis, he's like, Alana, during the summer when you're not working, you should come sell for EZaccessMD because she just wins people over.
That's wonderful. Well, I think we probably need to talk about EZaccessMD a little bit.
Sure.
When I explained it, I just used the phrase mobile urgent care, but can you maybe a little bit better explain what you guys do?
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty accurate statement, and we should probably trademark this, but usually when we're meeting with either an employer group or if it's an advisor group, we kind of explain what we do. They're like, wow, that sounds like telehealth on steroids. So that's a way to kind of think of it because, telehealth, it's been around for a long time. And I don't know that the adoption of it has really been, anywhere where it is now. And that's probably thanks to one of the byproducts of the pandemic that became a more acceptable way to access healthcare. But even still, there's some limitations to what a telehealth provider can do. They can't often see what's going on. All they really kind of have is maybe like a video or a phone conversation, just understanding what's going on with that patient. So what makes us different is that our doctors can order a bunch of different tests, things like x-rays, ultrasounds, EKGs. We can do some point of care testing like flu and strep and things like that, urinalysis. So now our doctors not only have like that conversation with the patient, triaging like what's going on with them, but now they have facts and data to act upon, and it's and it's available rather quickly. So I think we get people from on that path to wellness a lot quicker than going through traditional routes of going to an urgent care or to an emergency room. And I think how we help, I think we help the employer because the way we have this set up, it doesn't create a claim. So so it's reducing their claim spend. And a lot of the things that we take care of, if you go to urgent care or an emergency room, it's going to cost way more than it should, and certainly way more than what it costs us to be able to provide that same service. So we help them to save money. For the employee, it's always free for them and their dependents. So they have 24/7, 365 access to a board certified physician. And in the markets where we have mobile service set up, all those other things come into play as well. So the last place anybody wants to go when they're sick or not feeling well is to go sit in a waiting room somewhere. And also too, when they go to those places, guess what they have? They have co-pays, deductibles, and a lot of people have health insurance, but they can't afford to use it for some of these things. So we're removing a lot of those barriers so that people can get healthcare when they need it and get good healthcare. So
I'm going to give examples, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
So like, kid sprains an ankle.
I'm
like, oh, it's probably a bad sprain, but probably need to go get x-rays. Would that be a good example of?
That's a perfect time.
That happens so much.
I've done it myself for my 16-year-old. He rolled his ankle and had somebody come out to the house, did an x-ray. I didn't have to take him anywhere. And fortunately in his case, it was not broken. It was just a sprain, and they were able to kind of give us guidance on how to manage that. But they were able to confirm that it wasn't broken, and so those are perfect examples.
Or like
we've had testimonials where people said, I was at a field hockey tournament with my daughter, and she got hit in the side with the stick, and we were out of town about an hour away, so we called EZaccessMD. When we pulled in the driveway, they were there waiting for us, did an x-ray, and I think everything was fine there too, but they didn't have to go anywhere. They didn't have to spend a dime, and they've got that peace of mind and they know what's going on.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool.
I've got a sore throat, very scratchy. I've got all the symptoms of strep. I mean, typically I'd have to go get a strep test. So you could actually have them mobile, send somebody out and do it from your home.
Yeah, but then it's all starts with a telehealth call.
Right.
So that doctor orders whatever that test is that they want to run. So it wouldn't be like you could call up and say, hey, I twisted my ankle. Can you send somebody over to do an x-ray? It would really be under the guidance of a doctor, as it should be.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
And it all runs outside the health plan, meaning you're building, the way it works is you're charging the employer a PEPM.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's all kind of bundled together. There's no extra fees if we run an x-ray and a flu and a strep test. Or if we don't do any sort of test, there's no hidden radiology bill that shows up at anybody's mailbox down the road. So it's all kind of bundled together in that PEPM.
When you combined a very useful service that you're providing, right? It's just useful, right? There's a marketplace for it. With owners of the company who are such good people, like it really, business is business. Wherever I am pro capitalism. I'm all for making money, but when you see Lois and Will and how passionate they are, you just know they're always going to do the right thing by people.
Yep.
That makes it a very compelling story. So I guess this is a shameless plug for the people. I mean, I don't know. Britt, do you think anybody outside our network will ever listen to this? Just stumble into it, maybe. They could. 95% of the people are going to be in the network. They should chat with you guys because you are only in, say, 20 some odd states, mostly Southeast, Northeast, but you can actually, with the right broker partner, just go in and open up a new market, right? Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to take this coast to coast, but it's sort of a chicken and the egg to be able to do the mobile service. So you need subscribers, right? You need like bodies to serve, and then you need the infrastructure to deliver that service in that area. So so there's a little bit of like a chicken and the egg, but I think there's opportunity definitely within this network where there's probably an employer group that really wants something like this, and we can get it set up. But that being aside, so you mentioned that we're only in certain states, so that's just for the mobile part. But we are a telehealth company,
right?
So we're board certified in all 50 states, so we are able to deliver telehealth in all 50 states, and maybe that's a great place to start. And build up some subscribers and kind of show them the value that we can bring from that component, and then start up mobile service with them down the road. So there's a lot of ways to go at this. So
super interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. We're staying on work kind of. Before you visited me, us at True, you had a stop at Atrepeted, Atlanta.
I did.
Well, let's go back up though. You had already met them because you came to Oasis.
Yep.
And
that was my first dip into the pool personally myself. I know you'd mentioned like how Lois had been to a couple of events, and so that was my first time.
Britt, I'm laughing because the Atrepeted Atlanta experience is not dipping your toe in.
No.
That you're like you're full on. You have jumped in the water.
Yes.
When you start out with that group as your group to take.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller group for dinner. It wasn't like, say, at True Learning Academy, they might have 15, 16 people there.
Okay.
Like their whole, everybody you saw,
Right.
basically,
Yeah, it was
everybody
probably
was there.
like half the crew, I think, came to Oasis.
But still, that's a,
yeah.
one of the things you said was that you took them to dinner, and you were like, I'm not going to talk business and just get to know people. But Liz and her crew started a chant, right, at dinner?
Yeah, they did.
What was the chant?
So the chant was, I was sitting next to Liz, and we're just getting to know each other, and everybody's getting to know each other, and she's like, do the pitch, do the pitch, and they all start clapping like, do the pitch. So I'm like, I wasn't like planning on it, but thank you, I'll do that. They're like, no pressure, but I just felt that was really nice of them to offer that up. I wasn't really planning on doing that. The whole idea of getting out with these folks is that we're new to the network. We just joined July 1st, so nobody really knows who we are. Yeah. And but we know there's a lot of people that we want to get to know, and this was a great way for us to start networking with them. That was my intention from the get-go. So I was happy that she gave us an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what we do. And then when I visited this past Monday, we just took a little more deeper dive than we were able to do, like with just kind of the elevator speech version of what Easy Access does and how we help employers and advisors and employees to access healthcare and save money.
And you further endeared yourself to them by doing karaoke.
I did.
And you didn't know you were going to be on their Instagram page.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling everybody.
So they have a Instagram sings. It might be Instagram _sings. Hey, Britt, do you have access to Instagram on the computer? I don't know if we're not set up for that. I'm sure at some point we can get on there and try to find Intrepid Sings. Yeah,
I wish I had maybe picked a different song, but
what did you sing?
I sang New York, New York from Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
So, which isn't one of my favorite songs by any means, but I was like, I'm from New York, and it's probably something I could pull off.
I get it.
Some of the other songs that I may have picked that I really like sound really good in the shower, but maybe not in karaoke.
Right.
So I skipped those, so I went with something I thought I could do.
And Val and I at dinner last night were, wait, you were there on Monday? We just got back from Croatia on Sunday, late Sunday night.
Yep.
And both Maggie and Liz were there.
Yep.
They have recovery skills like no other human beings
that
I've ever. It might be like
I wouldn't have known that they had been on such a trip so recently if they hadn't told me. So
I'm imagining it right now, like how you have to write job descriptions and qualifications for a job. I'm imagining Intrepid Atlanta as being like must be able to stay out till 4 a.m. and make a 7:30 meeting.
Yeah,
like that's part of the requirement.
Right, and be productive and all those.
And actually, you got to do your job as part of it. So you've been on this, like, you've driven a lot. You flew into Nashville. Did you find Atlanta?
I flew into Atlanta and went and saw the folks at Intrepid.
Then you went to Nashville.
Then I went to Nashville for a couple of days and then came down here. So I'll drive it, and I'll drive back to Nashville to fly out later today. So
it's a pretty drive, though.
It is. It is. Like I've been in sales my whole life, and a lot of it was I was driving places. Rochester is a small enough city where it's hard to fly somewhere without at least going through one other airport. So I like to kind of take my destiny into my own hands and drive it. So I like to do it. It's not a 2-3 hour drive is like nothing for me to do, and I like to be able to see different parts of the country. I've never been to Alabama before. Yeah. And was really eager to really check out your town here because you always talk about it all the time. I'd never heard about it until you brought it up, but I'm like, if somebody's that proud of where they come from, it's probably worth checking out. So I got in a little early yesterday and just took a little walk around and, talked to some of the local folks and, learn a little about it. And what was funny is that kind of a couple places that I went, I mentioned why I was down there, and they said, well, who are you meeting with? And I mentioned your name, and like, oh yeah, we know him. So,
it's
what I mean?
Small enough.
Yeah.
It's interesting how, well, first of all, there's no reason you would have ever heard of Lake Guntersville, being from upstate New York, unless you happen to be like a massive bass fisherman. Okay. Because the lake here is one of the top 10 or so bass fishing lakes in the country. A lot of the bass pros live here, and but I don't think I realize, maybe I do, how much I talk about Guntersville. It's so pretty.
It really is.
It's hard to, like, we talk about it, and it's it's become actually part of our identity and culture is that, we're in this small town, this world headquarters. And every time somebody visits, they're like, oh, wow. Like, I did not imagine, like you told me it was pretty. You can't really picture that that the lake is around the town, that like in most southern towns or most lake cities, most lake towns, you go to the lake and you're away. You're in the country. You're in a rural setting. You're basically there for the weekend. You stock up on groceries. Where here, you can boat over to Publix if you really want to.
Yeah.
There's 6 or 8 restaurants to go on the lake. It's just right here.
Right.
Anything that observations from, you've only been here. You're going to have to come back and bring family. But any observations from your day and a half here so far?
Let's see. Like you said, I think it's a beautiful place, and really coming into a really nice time of year. It reminded me a little bit of where I live in New York. I think a lot of people, if they haven't been to where I live in New York, it's more like Western New York. It's a lot more like this than it is what you think of New York, like New York City, So we have nice lakes like this and hardwood trees, they're all starting to change colors. This is my favorite time of year. So you're really coming into, I was saying last night, like within the next week or two, like the trees are going to look amazing,
Yeah.
So
late October, Britt, fall change.
Yep.
Yeah. It's because it's still a little warm. We're just starting to cool off here a little bit.
Yeah, so you guys are a little bit behind us in terms of like when the leaves change. Like there's parts up by me or like where I go hiking, like it's peak right now, or maybe just a little bit past peak because it's just a lot colder. But but the people really friendly, and small enough town where people knew who you were. I wasn't expecting that maybe they would know who you were necessarily. Didn't know how big the town was, and then. A small enough town where, after you drop me off from dinner back at my house, up comes walking Britt and his family out for a walk before bedtime with the whole family. They just happened to be there right at the same time.
I know.
So
I told you this morning, I was dropping you off and I see like people at the corner.
Yeah.
I see 5 or 6 people just kind of silhouette. It was dark.
Yeah.
And then I see you talking to them. I'm like, oh man, Tim's so nice. He's just talking to people. And then I hear like Scott, and I look over and Britt's twins run up to the car and it's his whole crew. That was a very, to me, it was just a heartwarming small town moment.
Oh yeah,
it's very small, but it's still endearing.
It was for me too, because I was talking to Britt before we started about how it goes by fast, right? When your kids grow up, like all of a sudden your kids are 22, but when you're in the kind of throes with a young family like that, it can be like really chaotic sometimes and stressful and all those things, and it is, but. It won't always be like that. There'll be, things change, but you'll never get like that time back when you're doing stuff like that. So even when it's the most chaotic, just embrace it and just like take it in and love it and, cherish it, because you can't go backwards, right? So enjoy it.
Britt hears this all the time from me and you and other people where we talk about time going fast and all that. And there's so much chaos in Britt's life and the 5 kids. Under 12 is the oldest.
Yeah.
Under 12. That it's like, there have to be times, Britt, where you're like, no, it can move along a little bit faster. Like they could get to where they're self-sufficient, just then slow down. So where do you go from here? What's next for you? We just talked about that. You're driving to Nashville.
Yep.
And flying home.
Yeah. Going back home. Yep.
Okay. And then any other trips this year that you got anything else you got planned so far?
Yeah. Going to Saya next week out in Arizona, and then doing something a little bit more local that's not really easy access centric, but we're going to be at a conference that's really dedicated to the mobile service providers around the country that come in. It's like their trade association. So we're going to be there providing some content and things like that. So that's it for now that I can think of. Between now and the end of the year, I think it's one of those times of year where people are busy and just need to kind of focus on the task at hand. So, not to say that things won't come up towards the end of the year where I'll go someplace, but that's kind of what's on the calendar right now.
Well, I don't know how Lois and Will want to handle the true calendar, but we have our owners meeting coming up in late January.
Okay. And
then Healthcare in Harmony, which is our event brand where our members invite their prospects and clients. But it's a big music event. You need to go to that.
Okay.
That's in Austin, Texas in February. And then
definitely got to do that.
Then True Learning Academy in late April in Fort Worth. That's
Right.
where the rap party this year is Cowboy Prom. We've talked
Gotcha.
about that with Prophets and Outlaws. You'll love that band. I think you should petition to go to all three events.
Yeah, I would imagine if I'm not there, somebody's going to be there.
Well,
But I will lobby to be
You should lobby to be at those.
the person there. You know?
Yeah.
So
All right. I
Yeah.
told you I was going to ask you this question, but it's if you could only listen to one artist's music the rest of your life, but you only had their library of work.
Uh-huh.
Now you get everything they touched, but that's it.
Yep.
Who would that be?
Yeah. So when you initially told me this, I had a little angst because I love music, very diverse tastes in music. So to ever have to leave any of that behind was kind of heartbreaking, but this is only a decision for today.
Hypothetical today.
Right?
And, and you can
I
change
can
your mind.
my mind
Every
tomorrow.
day you can change your mind.
Every day I can change my mind. So I was thinking, where could I really get the most bang for my buck? So one of the groups that I'm kind of going through my Tedeschi Trucks
Yes.
phase right now. And so they've had solo careers. Mm-hmm. They've had multiple collaborations. So I can really have access to a lot of music that I already love too, just by picking them, because they're just kind of like the spoke on the wheel and it just kind of radiates out. So
I think
I think that's a good choice.
my brother introduced me to them. And Midnight in Harlem is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, it would rank, if you had to do a top 10 list of songs in my life, I know it would make it. That would be a hard exercise, though. We probably need to do something really cheesy like that, Britt, and do that. Also, I was talking to someone on the boat, and they said you should get your friends that love music together and do a musician draft, where you draw for draft period, like a fantasy draft, and you just, if you had first pick, if Tim had first pick, he's like, I take Tedeschi Trucks.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I take Prince. And, you do that, and you have 10 rounds, and you go back and look at your roster.
Yeah.
Is that like music nerd? That's really deep music nerdiness to me.
Yeah. That might be more to pull off in a survey, harder to pull off in your Tuesday survey. It might be a harder one to do, but it might be something that you could have people maybe put some thought in beforehand and make it kind of fun,
Britopotamus. This is
hit the button.
Do you remember at Dallas True Learning Academy when we had we did the candy bar bracket challenge? We could do a band bracket challenge.
Yeah.
And pick this would be hard because it'd be controversial because we'd be leaving people out. But we could try to be crowd pleasing. We would have to put Taylor Swift in there. There's so many Swifties. You get Prince and Michael Jackson and all these. We could actually get people to submit, and then we crown a winner at the end. Listen, look at you.
Yeah. See, I'm here.
Timmy 46.
I'm here to help. I'm here to help.
Or could it be 46 Tim? 46 Timmy 46. What was your trail name? What was that nickname?
You'll have to flag the tape.
What's it called?
Trelly McStuffins.
Trelly McStuffins. I want to say Trelly McTrailerson, but
yeah.
Listen, man, is there anything else? This is, by the way, I'm very bad at this. Uh-huh. I don't know how to wrap up episodes. I've said this in a recent one. Yep. I just don't know how to wrap them up. So this is going to be awkward.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. Anything that we didn't talk about that you're like, boy, I really wish we would have covered this.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the essentials. I know one thing that was popping in my head when you were asking about EZaccessMD and kind of what we do. But yeah, the idea that I didn't really bring forward, I think is kind of important to look at us as a strategic partner, as us being sort of referred to as the tip of the spear on a health plan.
Right.
Where people say well, when would you're bringing up examples of when would you use EZaccessMD? You sprain your ankle, you have a sore throat, and we just make it real simple. Whenever you or your family member are seeking health care, you've injured yourself, you're not feeling well, call us first. The tip of the spear on the health plan. Call us first. If we can't take care of it, we're going to point you in the right direction, and then that just kind of reduces the claim spend that way. So if you make that the tip of the spear, I think everybody wins. And I didn't really bring up that concept when we were talking earlier. I meant to, and I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and it kind of.
Can I go into sales mode?
Sure.
I'm a recovering salesperson.
Okay.
The first step is admitting you have a problem, and I did. I like the idea of going to an employer and saying, listen, are you tired of doing it the way you've always done it? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do, at EZaccessMD is we're going to retrain your members to use us as the tip of the spear. And for the next 10 years, because it really is going to take a decade. Don't let anybody don't let a salesperson come in here and say they've got a 2 or 3 year plan to turn your health plan around and not disrupt your whole lives. Maybe it's 5 years, but we're going to take 5 years and we're going to educate every employee and dependent that this is how you access healthcare in the modern age, is you call us first or we visit you first. We're going to triage it. We're going to get you taken care of.
Yep.
And that's going to reduce costs and you're going to get happier people. But we want to be partners with you to do that. I'm a pretty good salesperson.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. You can take that. You can have it.
I love it. I love it.
Tim Randall, Timothy John Randall, 3 first names. Thanks for hanging out with us. And the commitment to travel, the time you took. I really was serious when I said that at the very first of this episode, is that when Val and I got home last night, I was like, that was a good dude. Like,
Good.
that was fun.
Good. I appreciate the opportunity to help you to see that. And I could appreciate your angst of having to do this with somebody that you didn't know very well. You know, it's like, where do you start? So I think, going out to dinner last night was a great way to kind of break the ice a little bit. So it wasn't, this is the first time we're talking.
Yeah. It was perfect. I had a great time, man. Got
Me
a new
too.
friend. Cheers.
Cheers.
True love.
Absolutely.
Hands up, heads down,